necessary. All right. Now we're going to get into the meat of the matter now. Label hype. People talk about label hype. Here's Mr. Sean Paul here. Listen, Sean Paul's success cannot be reduced to he had a label. Why? Because labels amplify success. They do not manufacture cultural connection. These are facts. Listen to me. A label is a business, right? They're not going to invest unless you're good for that business. Labels invest after momentum exists. If Sean Paul never have momentum, the label would not invest in him. Before labels heavily back an artist, number one, the artist has already shown market traction. I'm telling you the business side of it. It's not feelings, these are just facts. There is evidence of the audience response, the performance ability, and the record viability. Why? Why, Miss Julia? Why is that so? Because every business thinks about ROI. What is ROI? Return on investment. And as soon as you're not a good return for my investment, guess what? You get cut from the label. These are facts, not feelings. Now, Sean Paul didn't get successful because of a label. The label partnered with him because the success potential was already visible. Labels are risk managers. They're not talent creators. Not because you go on a label mean that you're going to be successful. So, again, facts, not feelings. I don't want people to water down what Sean Paul has accomplished, right? Because the label took a risk on him, that's true. And we're going to go into what they did for him, but they didn't create his talent. These are facts. Now, number two, here's another point. The thousands of labels signed artists fail. Them fail every day. You know that. If labels guaranteed success, let me ask you this. If labels guarantee success, every major label artist would be a star. Why aren't they? The charts would be predictable and careers would be automatic. That doesn't happen, does it? No. Here's the reality. Most signed artists are dropped. Many of them never recover. They never recoup. Label rosters are full of forgotten names. These are facts. You guys check it out for yourself. I'm telling you the business of the music. Now, access to the world does not equal impact. Not because someone have access means that they're going to have an impact. We're going to go in that shortly. Using label backing as the reason for Sean Paul's success ignores how rare sustained crossover success actually is. And it is very rare. It is very, very rare. I'm telling you facts. This is not feelings. But we're going to go into what the label actually did do for him because the label did help. We can't go around that either. But we cannot water down Sean Paul's contribution to dancehall, or we cannot water down his actual talent. Because if he didn't have it, they wouldn't sign him. They wouldn't take that chance. This is money. And these are business people. Now, Sean Paul also had a unique skill set that labels cannot teach. What Sean Paul brought before the scale, before he signed, he had clear rhythmic vocal delivery. He had the ability to ride the rhythm smoothly. You cannot deny that. Cultural translation without erasing his Jamaican identity. This is before he went into all that fusions, right? Sean Paul did have onstage discipline and professionalism. If you're not professional, the labels are going to drop you. If you show up to work high and can't perform and forget your songs, the labels are going to drop you. He did have consistency and work ethic. Now, the labels can, and they do, they fund your promotion. Yes, they do expand your reach. They open doors. That's true. But they cannot teach you charisma. The label cannot teach you adaptability, right? Or cultural intuition. They cannot teach you that. And he had that. Good. Now, the global audiences did respond to Sean Paul, not the executives only. I should have put only. Sean Paul didn't become global only because the executives liked him. This is money. Nobody cares about. Listen, I like a lot of people. That don't mean that I'm going to invest in them. They're not good for my money. I like you. Great. You get a phone call, you get a happy birthday. That don't mean I'm going to put my money behind you. These people know money. He became global because DJs played him. These are facts. The clubs did react to him. If he had the reach and the club did not react to him, they would have dropped him. These are facts. Again, people, a lot of you may not like what I'm saying, but you know me, I don't care about approval, right? I care about giving you the truth. And this is the truth about business, and it's the truth about music and what that truth actually translates to. The crowds moved and the radio requests increased. Yes, it's true that the label can push a lot of him have the system behind him, but if it flop, it flop. Labels follow demand. They don't invent demand. Okay? These are facts. If audience don't connect, no label budget can force longevity. Again, these are facts. If the audiences do not connect, no label budget can force longevity. Now, a lot of dancehall crossovers failed, even with labels. History proves this point. Many dancehall artists, I'm not calling no name, you guys do your own research, I've done enough label. Many dancehall artists receive label deals, collaborations, and promotion. They never reach Sean Paul's height. Why? Why? You think him look scary alone? No. Timing has a lot to do with it, of course, with everything in business. But their sound didn't travel. Their delivery didn't translate. And their moment did not land. So there's a lot of things working for Sean Paul at the same time. It wasn't just the label. Don't just say it's a label, because then you'll be wrong and you sound like a dunce. No offense. But we need to start to look at things holistically. Remember, I always say to you guys, zoom in and zoom out. Don't just zoom in and miss the forest for the trees, because you're so involved, all you can see is trees, that you can't zoom out and see the entire forest. We need to look at things, especially with our dancehall culture, holistically. Zoom out. Sean Paul's success was exceptional. It was not just procedural. Right? Now, label support, it does not automatically equals to cultural authority. Yes, and I'm going to be fair here. The labels definitely did help Sean Paul. It helped him to scale internationally. It helped him to enter new markets. It helped him to maintain visibility. Of course. Anybody deny that is lie, they tell him. It wasn't only Sean Paul's talent alone. The label actually helped his talent to get the reach that it needed. These are facts. But the cultural role was never about internal dominance. That wasn't his cultural role. Or clash leadership. He select even, he never even liked clash. He was just not good at it. Right? Or the language innovation. He never did much with that either. I'm going to talk about that next week, about the language and about his writing ability. That wasn't his mission. And labels don't decide cultural authority anyway. Cultures do. Cultures do that, not labels. Good. People often say, oh, Sean Paul had a label, Cartel didn't. That's why. That's why what? This is why the comparison fails. They were playing different roles. And I'm going to get into that next week. They were chasing different outcomes. And I'm going to go into that next week because I have charts for you. And they were measured by different scoreboards. And I have all of that broken down for you. So make sure you tune in next week for that. The label supports and explains his reach, not necessarily his relevance. Because if he had the reach and it was free, he would not have the relevance. These are facts. And I'm talking to you business facts. These are no feelings. A label can scale a career, but it cannot create one. Sorry, it cannot. Right? Only talent can create a career. A whole career. I don't mean a one-off. I don't mean a one-hit wonder. Lots of those around. I'm talking about a career. That's sequential. Sean Paul succeeded because global audiences responded to him. These are facts, people. The label didn't make him connect, but it helped him to travel. If him never have that connection there, so the travel would not matter. The reach would not matter. It will just be a bigger reach of a flop. And these are facts. Here is some fire truth for you, because I'm telling you all truths. All right? Good. Sean Paul's label helped accelerate his global expansion. Anybody tell you that it didn't? That's a lie. It also helped to provide his infrastructure. These are facts. But Sean Paul himself, the talent himself, provided the sound. Sean Paul himself, his talent himself, provided his discipline and provided the connection to the ears to make us want to move. Without the artist, the label don't have anything to sell. These are facts. Without the audience, though, the label has nothing to amplify. I'm going to say that again. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Without the artist, the label has nothing to sell. Without the audience that's already there, the label has nothing to amplify. Now, that does not mean that a lot of Sean Paul's global reach didn't have to do with collaboration.